But we have some guests I would like to first introduce before we get into our conversation, which is about financial freedom and financial literacy, particularly for our young people and our next generation in this community and city. But with us this morning, we have Dr. Mark Sullivan, Superintendent of Birmingham City Schools. We have Isaac Cooper, who's CEO of IMC Financial Consulting. We have Tanya Van Court, who's founder of Goal Setter. And we also have Gavin Billups, who is Director of the Department of Youth Services. There are other few guests here, but before we mention them, I want to talk to why we're here today. Today is a very great day for the city of Birmingham through partnership. The people and organizations I just mentioned, this is a genuine partnership around a very important topic, financial freedom and financial literacy. I'm thrilled to announce that we're making a significant investment in our children, our school students, and that is the gift of knowledge about financial freedom. Now, as you know, a young student, or me as a young student, I was taught about math, I was taught about reading, I was taught about social studies and science. What I was not taught about was financial literacy, and that was something that I had to acquire on my own. And I imagine many of you now as adults had to acquire on your own as well. But how much more empowered could I have been as an adult if I had financial tools earlier? A better question would be how much all of us would be if we had those same financial tools earlier. We, not I, but we who are standing before you this morning, we want better for our children. And as an administration and as a team in partnership with the school system and others, we plan to be intentional about creating a platform that allows us to make the necessary investments in financial literacy, so we're making the long-term investments in the next generation. Again, that's why I'm so thrilled to announce that today the city of Birmingham is investing $1 million in a partnership with IMC Financial Consulting, Goal Setter, and the Birmingham City Schools for what will be called the BHM Financial Freedom Project. I want to go into detail and give you a little bit more about what that's about before I bring up Dr. Sullivan. Participating children will gain lifelong financial skills. They'll receive a coach and creating their own stock portfolio. Again, that's lifelong financial skills. That's something, again, that a lot of us did not have. The ability to receive coaching and create their own stock portfolio. This program will launch in October with the pilot in 6 schools, but ultimately will be in all of Birmingham City Schools. Now, to unpack this a little more, gaining the necessary financial literacy will be a game changer for all of our children and students who will become the future of their own households. But they'll also be the next superintendent, they'll be the next financial advisor, they'll be the next teacher, they'll be the next mayor. We want to teach them early about saving and debt so that they can be empowered to make better decisions. According to a comprehensive citywide assessment, this is something all of us should know. The average credit score for Birmingham residents is 597. I want you all to let that sink in for a second. 597, which is unfortunately 78 points lower than the national average. Now, in addition, nearly half of Birmingham residents deal with delinquent debt. And so I hope today's investment will be an opportunity to end that cycle. I hope that today can mean financial freedom for our children's future. And before I bring on the superintendent, I want to make one last point, which is very important. In the majority of the city, we have too much predatory lending going on. They sit in our neighborhoods where our children walk past them to school, where our children are picked up on buses. I would like to put these places out of business. And the only way I know how to do that is to make sure we're making this necessary investment starting today. So with that, I want to give you Dr. Mark Sullivan, the Superintendent of Birmingham City Schools.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everyone. As Superintendent of Birmingham City Schools, I'm excited about this financial freedom partnership and the impact that it will have on our students, particularly in these 6 schools. And we have 4 of our principals here, principal of Jackson Olin, that's over in the corner, the principal at Hudson K-8, the principal at Sun Valley and the principal at Robinson, here today to answer any questions that you might have and the impact that they will have on this program will have on our students. The goal is for every student in Birmingham City Schools to be successful. We know that managing personal resources is the key to financial success for our students and for their families. You know, we were in the city council meeting earlier, and one of the council people said that this was a game changer, and it is a game changer for our scholars. It's by educating and empowering them and equipping them with the skills in order to be successful around financial literacy. We in Birmingham City Schools, we want to thank the mayor, we want to thank the city council, we want to thank this great partnership that we're launching and beginning because we know that this is going to be important and impactful for our students' future success. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I guess I turn it over to this gentleman right here.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Isaac Cooper, representing CEO of IMC Financial Consulting. We are extremely excited to deploy the Birmingham Financial Freedom Project. As mentioned, the mayor talked about one of the issues, the fruit of the issue of payday loans, payday lending, and the predatory services. And we said, all right, how can we get to the root of the issue, right? What is the foundational issues that's happening within these environments? And then what type of access to information that is credible and reliable that we can use to essentially build our next stakeholders, build these next constituents of Birmingham. So we've been able to partner with Goal Setter to build something that doesn't exist. This is actually the first in the country to have an initiative that is focused on education, but also establishes the equipment as well, right? And so we'll be able to provide the information around budgeting, cash flow, financial psychology, credit, all the different life experiences that it's not until you get into life you're going to need to know the importance of credit, right? We're going to be able to get ahead of it and have a proactive approach with the students, but also give them the bank accounts and the investment accounts in which Tanya will be able to speak to more once we bring her up to ensure that they can put that information into action. And then when we look at the environment they occupy, so the faculty and staff. So even with the schools that has been selected, it will be irresponsible for us to deploy this type of information in the school, and the teachers have yet to have their own personal experience with their finances with someone that they can trust, but also with a vetted financial expert. And then when we take it a step further with the parents and caretakers, how are we equipping them with the information that their students are learning in the classroom? Because the last thing you want is a student to learn about compounding, the difference between simple interest and compounding interest. They come home and say, hey, Mom, do you know the difference? And she's like, I don't compound what? Compound these bills, right? And so there are ways in which we are looking at deploying this comprehensive solution, but also to ensure that it is viable in all Birmingham City Schools. And so we're extremely excited to, as the mayor mentioned, to essentially equip the next generation of leaders with the financial education that's going to be necessary for them to unlock their goals and their dreams. And then at this point, I'll bring on Tanya to speak to the deployment of Goal Setter.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Excuse me. And thank you to the mayor. Thank you so much to the superintendent. Thank you to Galvin, and thank you to Isaac for having Goal Setter here today. I hail from Brooklyn, New York today, but originally come from Oakland, California. And as I told the city council earlier, from coast to coast, from the streets of Brooklyn to the hills of Berkeley, California, people are talking about financial education. But what's different that's happening in Birmingham today is that Birmingham is doing something revolutionary about financial education and financial freedom for its kids. When I was 28 years old, I came out of Stanford, and I had a big job in Silicon Valley where I had $1 million in stock and stock options. But I didn't know anything about asset allocation or diversification. And so on one fateful day when the stock market tanked, that $1 million went down to $20,000 almost immediately. And my pledge to myself that day was that I couldn't turn back the hands of time, but I could change the world for the kids who didn't learn financial education like I was a kid who didn't learn financial education. So today, Birmingham students are going to receive what Stanford students never received, which is financial education and a pathway towards financial freedom. We have financial education videos from leading celebrities like Anthony Anderson, the Star of Blackish that are going to not only educate our kids, but are going to engage our kids in a way they've never been engaged before. And in conjunction with IMC Financial Consulting, we're going to give them not only financial education tools, but we're going to give them in-person instruction. So these kids will walk away with a savings account, an investment account, based on donations from our partners through the Goal Setter Foundation across the country. They will get access to Nike stock and Delta Airlines stock and HP and Comcast and Twitter. Stock donations that go into their accounts and make them an early generation of savers and investors and not just consumers. So we're bringing the best of what America has to offer to the kids in Birmingham, and so proud of Birmingham for taking a leadership role in this on behalf of all of America. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. I'm Galvin Phillips. I serve as the Department of Youth Services Director for the City of Birmingham. This is a very historic day in our city. As you have already heard, the amount of commitment that is going to Birmingham City School students, $1 million for financial literacy education. And it is because of the goals of this mayoral administration that allows these young people to receive, and the partnership with Birmingham City Schools to allow these students to receive such a benefit. Our goal at the Department of Youth Services is to proactively champion the education and workforce development goals that the city has, and in doing so, we do it through innovative partnerships and programs and services. This is an example of an above baseline tool in the toolbox for a partnership and a service that's being provided. So I want to thank Mr. Cooper and also Tanya Van Court for their work, and also to Dr. Sullivan and his entire team for the work that they're doing alongside the city of Birmingham in putting youth first in the city. With that said, I'll turn it back over to Mayor Whiffen.
Again, thank you all for being with us this morning. Thank our partners. We're very excited about this partnership and what it will provide for our young children as it relates to financial literacy, but as Isaac likes to remind me, more so financial freedom. With that, open up for any questions you all may have.
Is there a certain age group this is targeted towards?
Great question. And so we will be deployed in elementary, middle, and high school. What we've mapped out in regards of the in-person instruction, Jumpstart has aligned the national standards when it pertains to financial literacy. And so that's been established at the 4th, 8th, and 12th grade level. So we use that as a guide to ensure that what they need to know is aligned to the national standards. But we'll also have content that will be available for the different grades within the schools.
Now, we said 6 schools, correct? Did I hear that correctly?
100%. So the 6 schools will have the comprehensive solutions, and so the faculty and staff, as well the parents, will have access to one-on-one consultations. So we have up to 700 hours of one-on-one consultations with vetted financial professionals, again, for them to have an experience with their own money with the professional. Then as well, those 6 schools will have access to the in-person instruction to essentially help give further support to the instructors, being able to facilitate that on their behalf. And then the district-wide initiatives will be the financial workshops. So we'll have 24 workshops that will be available, 12 topic-based workshops. The other 12 will be planning with the experts. So there's experts across the city that will come in and speak about the best ways to eliminate your student loans, best way to manage your retirement, right? All these different areas that are important to the faculty and staff and the parents of the students, but unfortunately their income does not warrant a professional calling them because there isn't a product or service they may not necessarily be able to pay for.
And is this like a year-long program? How long is the program?
Yeah, so this, as of now, this is a year-long program. Our goal is to share the data with our partners to reflect a longer relationship, and so this ultimately is we'll just say the trailer to the movie, and then we'll be able to have a strategy on how we'll be able to have I would say a position in all 42 schools in that comprehensive way.
And then the stock portfolio and the bank accounts, will this be with their own money? Will they be given a stipend? How will that work?
I'll let Tanya speak to that.
So the students will be given a Goal Setter savings account. It's an account where family members and friends can contribute goal cards instead of gift cards on birthdays and holidays, because we know that all kids might not have a savings account, but all kids have a birthday where grandma and auntie and uncle can contribute towards making them early savers. But in addition to that, the Goal Setter Foundation will be contributing stock to these students' accounts. And so students will get stock from Nike or Delta Airlines or Lyft or Twitter or Comcast or HP or Fiserv. We have a number of different national partners whose stock is going to be held by Birmingham students.
And does the instruction come from Birmingham student, teachers, or, who's supporting the instructors?
So our team, IMC Financial Consulting, we will be deploying the instruction in the classroom, supporting the teachers. And again, our instruction is mapped to those national standards as I laid out.
How much required instruction will they give to the students for the program?
Well, so the requirement is really based off of availability. And so in partnership with Birmingham City Schools, we did not want to disrupt their current calendar, but identify a complementary way in which we can deploy the information that will be, of course, impactful for the students, but also in alignment with the calendar that was already established. So we have minimum 9 weeks at our middle school and high school level. As you can imagine, the rigor at the elementary school is not as much, right? They're not thinking about credit cards in the 4th grade, but they need to learn key terms or key concepts. So their frequency is not going to be all the way until 9 weeks, in between 4 to 5, and then we'll be able to rotate based off of the amount of students in the classroom.
And the parental involvement, how do the parents get, connected to?
Yes, sir. My favorite question. So the parents will have access to 24 workshops as well. So the parents across the district will have access to the workshops. Our parents across the district, we will have a financial empowerment fair, one per semester. So again, across the district, and then I'm gonna get into the 6 schools specifically. So across the district, they'll have access to 24 workshops. Across the district, we will have 2 financial empowerment fairs. So these financial empowerment fairs will be a one-day event to where we wrap our arms around these parents with the organizations and the resources that are readily available. It may be 2 weeks worth of diaper assistance. It could be feminine products. It could be food assistance. It could be rental assistance. All these different resources that may help that child get to school on time. All these resources that may make sure that this child doesn't go to bed hungry. We want to make sure that financial empowerment fair is accessible for all parents across the district. So again, the workshops and the financial empowerment fair will be district-wide. Specifically for the 6 targeted schools that we've deemed as the pilot, the parents will receive one-on-one consultations, very similar to the faculty and staff. So those parents will be able to essentially participate in those wraparound services that we'll be able to extract data from and say, okay, financial literacy in regards of just the information, that's one solution. But when we provide the information with this intentionality, what type of impact can we make? What percentage of the parents of Birmingham students own their home versus renting their home? There's certain information that impact the municipality in regards to property taxes, but also being able to forecast the financially some of the success of the city by ensuring that these individuals are seen as an asset as well. Because again, with the students, that's more proactive. With the adults, unfortunately, with financial literacy not being accessible within a school, that's more reactive, right? And so we have to ensure that their environment, as these students learn this information in the school, if they go speak to a teacher, that seed is not disrupted because the teacher didn't have access to the information. And whenever they go home and they open up that Goal Setter app, they can share that information with their parent, and that parent is empowered to speak to them about it because they have access to a professional as well.
And the student selection, is there a number of students that can participate, or is it open to all students?
Yeah, great question. So 4th, 8th, and 12th grade at Hudson will be at our 7th grade. So those grade levels will be all the students at that particular grade. And then again, we'll have packages that we've deemed as Financial Freedom Fridays that will be available to share with the different grades within the school.
And how were the 6 schools chosen?
That was in conjunction with the Board of Education, and so we worked together to establish where do we start to build a strong foundation, and then how can we ensure that as we scale to all 42 schools, this will be a good place to extract data to ensure that we scale in a way that is more quality than quickly.
And when will the courses officially start?
The 2nd week of October.
Anybody else?
It is a big investment for the city with $1 million. How do you kind of gauge the success of it and show the taxpayers this really worked?
Yeah, great question. We are very appreciative of this investment. We know that there is quantitative information that we'll need to track, and as well qualitative. So the quantitative will be a bit more binary, right? All right, this is what your test score on this particular topic. Now that you've been able to engage with this subject, this is where you've been able to grow. The qualitative information, I believe, we'll be able to get insight from our students, from the faculty and staff, from the parents. So I believe that they'll be ringing this horn more than we will, and knowing the experiences that they'll be able to have. And so we'll be able to extract data that we're intentionally tracking, use that to display the success of the program, and then circle back with our stakeholders, because one of the things that was mentioned during the council meeting is that there are other stakeholders that would love to be a part of this as well. So as this is being deployed and being built, we know that there are going to be other local partners, financial institutions, and organizations that would love to support financially as well, but also national partners that see the success of this, that also see the success of Birmingham and how their investment will yield a return based off of whatever industry that they're a part of.
I think we have one last question. I just wanted to talk about, so mainly the question I have for you is dealing with parenting. As the students is learning,
Right.
the parents is learning at the same
Right,
time.
right.
So you pretty much, the whole goal is just everyone is learning as one, because whenever you help a student out, you help the parent.
100%. And even off of personal experience, there's been times that I learned something in school and I was mad at my mom because she didn't share it with me. Not knowing the environment she came from, not knowing the lack of exposure that she didn't have. And what that can do is create friction within a household that is really rooted in growing, right? And so how can we get ahead of that? But also knowing the role that parents play, because the times we've been in the classroom and they understand budgeting, they understand cash flow, they understand utility bills, then they say, oh, that's why my mom keeps telling me to turn the TV off. That's why they keep telling me to turn the lights off, right? And so there is actually more of an appreciation of their parent once they learn about the things that they don't even have to think about. And that's why some of the life skills that they'll learn is going to be natural. Because one thing about finances, everyone turns into a math expert until that, once that check is a little short, right? And so you bring out your calculator on your phone, and so, these students are more proximate to money than we were. And it is vital that we equip the parent with what they are learning. Because one of the things that we probably has not been a discussion within the last 5 years, but it has been within the last 15 months, is cryptocurrency. These kids can get on Cash App, purchase Bitcoin in 5 seconds, and there's no guidance. What is the information to make sure that they have not only credible information, but also guidance to ensure that they are making the right decisions? And so as we equip them with the information, we know that it's important that we equip the parent as well, because that's the environment that they occupy.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. I know you've been with us a long time.